going to look at Rode number 2, and specifically for the measure 4 to measure 10. And there's challenges for both hands. There is a lot of intonation issues, and we also have some string crossings. So we're going to break it down together and work on each individual challenges. First, we're going to look at our left hand intonation. So we have octave right at the beginning of our measure 4. Then we have these barrier large bowing style. Now we're going to use double stop because it's going to help you to really build the frame of your hand structure, and also it's going to be a lot more efficient when you're playing faster. So we start with the octave right here. And not only that, after the third, so instead of actually using your first finger and then reach out for a fourth each single time, which is very not efficient. So we're going to using double stop as a way to shift, release. So release your finger above the string every time you shift up. So basically like you're playing double stop of octave. So we're gonna slowly start from here. It's really a release, move, and drop motion. So there's no tension in between, there's no resistance. And then we're basically just moving our hand like you're lifting up some objects and drop it down somewhere else. Now we go on to the next one. So now here I use first finger for the G string B. So our finger frame is relatively stay the same. Whenever you shift, make sure exactly like last time we did octave, we're gonna release. It's like you're basically release and drop, like you're pushing down on a button. Then we have a tritone here, which we have a third finger closer. Then we come back to the fourth and a major sixth. So now here the triad, we can also use double stop. So to me, I think double stop is the most efficient way to really tune with each other and really build our listening as well. And make sure that what you're noticing is I'm having my elbow here, the left hand elbow, gradually moving inward. That way we keep our hand frame exactly the same on the E string as well as on the D string or G string. As you're going to the outer string, your elbow also gradually moving out accordingly. Now for the right hand, there's a lot going on. Now we start with the forte piano. So that means the first note, instead of we gradually, play normal détaché, we're using fast bow speed in the beginning. And we release towards the end. Forte piano is a little bit different as forzato. So there's not really, it's just an emphasis, it's not really an accent. So we want to make sure we don't really catch string so hard. So we just need a little bit weight and fast bow speed basically. And then the next one, you're noticing I'm on the E string, and we're gonna really go all the way to the G string and immediately come back again. So where we really need to make that clear, because a lot of time we can be having this problem of right, a lot of sound. So what we can do is through the pronation, we kind of like feel we're leaning against on your index and put your weight, not pressure, but weight on your string against the E string. And we silently freeze string crossing into our G string. And do not lift the weight up. If you release the weight, then there's gonna be extra sound. So having that index like leaning against your string and keep that weight until you got to your G string and to start the note. And what you're gonna do is next one, it's gonna be exactly the same. You're just basically having your whole entire arm, because it's really towards the tip. So adding all the weight, arm weight as possible, as much as possible, towards your index. So pronation of this side. And silently shift back into your E string. Once you move to your E string, that's when you can actually release and start the bow. Because we start with a piano, we don't have accent. So let's try that one more time and see through a very slow motion. And I want you also practicing with that very slow motion, so you can get a sense of how your bow is working or your arm is doing. Now we'll move on to our barrier large, which is a very typical style of bowing during the Baroque period. So you will see a lot of these bowings in Baroque music. Now this one has a consistent note, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back to an open string practice, not using the notes, because using the notes we can practice our double stop really for the left hand intonation. So we're gonna just use an open A and E. So you're going to set quarter note equals 50 in a 3/4 meter. And also make sure you do have the 8th note subdivision. That's very important because we wanted to make sure that our notes are even. Now here the tip is to thinking about this as we were just talking about the pronation of a little leaning into your index and relax your whole entire arm, of course. So here we have a little bit of a forearm motion, but we don't want to use a lot of bow. Like we want it slightly shorter. So still have a little bit of a forearm motion. Key is to have the rotation of your wrist, but a lot of the time we're thinking of rotation as downward like this. A lot of people have been doing that, and that causes our bow to be flapping this way. So our bow hair sometimes it's 50%, sometimes it's 100%, but we want our bow hair to be always consistently the same amount. So we're going to draw a line from your left corner to the right corner. As you're playing this way, so you're going to actually draw that circle this way. So you can just do it without a bow. Thinking about the motion, you're drawing that circle towards the other corner. So you're noticing your wrist is not really going this way. It's actually going this way. A little bit still on the pronation side. You're noticing that angle here? So we're going to draw the circle clockwise. And relax. Make sure your arm, your shoulder, everything's relaxed. Now we go back to slowly doing that at 50 with open A and E. Also, we're gonna make sure that when we start our dynamic, gonna stay around mezzo forte to forte, very full sound. So full hair, full sound. The more you're adding the weight going against the string, the easier it is for you to start this motion. Then you can gradually taking off that weight and be light. So we start from forte and 2 and 1 and 2 and crescendo 3. Okay, so let's see. Now we can start speeding up with 70. So I will put the metronome marking right here. To eventually we're going to, if it's possible for you, as we go up to 90 or 110, we're going to take out all these dynamics. We're gonna just do it consistently forte. Yeah, we're gonna do it consistently forte. Now what we can also do is, let's do a measure of what is in the music, which is from piano to crescendo to the forte. So we're gonna start from now you're gonna look at the music, but as you play along, you're gonna play all open string. Let's try that once. Gradually crescendo. So now you are actually gradually adding weight onto your string with your arm weight, with more pronation into the string. And the more you film glue onto the string, the easier actually those bow strokes is going to play. Now we're going to talk about basically the last thing, which is the forzato. Here we have string crossing while we need to catch that string. So what we can do is really being slow, patient. Make sure that your elbow is rising gradually while moving towards the next string, but slightly a little earlier, always early preparation for the next string. You see that my elbow is already up before I start playing. Then you're gonna catch with your index. So we're gonna add that weight onto our index and we're gonna pull a little bit on the string. You might make a little bit of sound, but we don't want to let go yet. But we want to feel that resistance in between the string and our bow hair. And then we're going to pull really fast bow speed. The second you start with the note, as you hear the accent, you release your bow immediately and with fast bow speed. So that's basically how we're gonna play that forzato. Very fast bow speed, and also more weight in the very beginning. As you go faster, you're noticing that you don't really have the time to really catch and wait and go. So what we do is really trying to prepare our elbow earlier. So as you go very slowly, you want to be really mindful which string you're going to, and also prepare ahead for next string. That's also a very key point to have a really nice forzato, clean forzato.